through absolutely anything you would like me to. Again, it will be in that Q&A. I go through one at a time. We'll get individual feedback, and it's the real benefit of coming to these sessions that I absolutely love to do with the fantastic Learn Signal team. So welcome everyone to today's How to Pass Your Next Exam and Use the Examiner's Reports to get 51%. I think we could amend that for all of our ACCA worries in our head, especially, I mean, I passed a few exams with bang on 50. I'd happily take 50 again. A pass is a pass on there. For anyone who's not been to any of my sort of sessions before, and I know we occasionally have some of my old students who come along to these as well, or current students. My name is James Wright. I work at the University of Lincoln in the UK. I am a qualified ACCA member. I'm FCCA now, which really makes me feel old on there. Again, you're more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, anything like that. One of my pastimes is just simply helping ACCA students through partners like Learn Signal to become qualified members on there. So make the most of it, keep in touch. You're welcome to post on LinkedIn if you enjoyed today's session as well. Tag myself and the Learn Signal team in, and I'll be sure to comment on that post as well so we can keep in touch and follow up from today's session. But if you've got some notes, pen and paper, or if you want to take a photo of the screen, there will be a recording of this session as well. But this is the agenda, just having a look through now so that you can see some particular areas that we're going to focus in on and where you're going to get value out of today's session to help your ACCA journey. So we've got the results day on Monday, which is going to be one of those sort of, well, when did I used to do it? I used to sort of either stay up until about midnight in the UK to get the results, or I tried to go to sleep and then just first thing in the morning, read the text, read the email. But you may have some questions actually what to do after you get your results. Say if you were to pass a particular exam, which exam should you select next? Or if you were to potentially fail an exam, maybe you already know. I mean, I've done exams before. I just came out of it and just went, I don't even think there's a chance. There's no chance on that. So I'm already mentally preparing myself for the unfortunate fail on there, I'm afraid. So it's a case of if you have any questions on it, feel free to use that Q&A along with some simple and effective tips to getting you started, staying motivated. In other words, between this webinar right now and your intended exam in December, we'll give you some helpful tips that you could go put into practice that I used to use in my experience. That will definitely help you out from there. Of course, we touched on it in the title, using the examiner reports effectively. I have to admit, when I was a student, how many examiner reports did I look through? I used to sort of just gloss over them and find the sort of key points. The only times when I read the examiner's reports were when I failed an exam. So I failed advanced audit and assurance. Sorry if anyone's doing that one. It was really hard, especially if you don't work in audit. I nearly failed audit and assurance as well. So sorry again if anyone's doing that. Also, I failed advanced taxation. I did pass exams. That is worth saying as well. I failed advanced taxation, and then we'll talk about the main benefits, but it just really settles you down and it tells you where students make mistakes as well in the past. So definitely something as a resource you should be looking to use and adapt into your studies. Then we have the sort of golden rule to passing. There are sort of many rules, but we can combine them into a golden one for the sake of today. And again, that can link into any sort of study or revision questions that you may have for me. Pop them in the Q&A, because as you can see at the bottom, question and answer session with, of course, we are going to have some people here today who have never used Learn Signal before. Maybe you've watched some of my free content online, or you follow me on Instagram, all the rest of it. I invite people along because it's completely free. You get to have my time, you get to ask me absolutely anything, and then you can go and access some of the Learn Signal resources, see what they like, and then there's an exclusive code for today that myself and the Learn Signal team have from our partnership so that I can benefit you guys as students, so you get a heck of a lot of money off on there. So yes, make the most of it. Feel free to share it with your friends as well. It is quite substantial, but we will come on to that later on. So this is to really start you off with what to do after the results. So we're going to focus in on Monday coming ahead. And we've already touched on it before about deciding which exam you should sit next to suit your situation best. Now, things to get your sort of questions bubbling are if you're planning on doing taxation or advanced taxation, December is going to be the last likely time that you're going to sit it because, in the short term, should I say, is because say if you were to fail it in December and you had to resit it in March, you would still have the same rates, allowances, percentages, all the rest of it on there. I would not recommend anyone does tax or advanced taxation unless it's your last exam in the March sitting, because if you were to fail it and you had to resit in June, you're going to have new rates, rules, allowances, all the rest of it on there for when you come to resit it. So your notes become a bit obsolete and you go, I'm probably going to have to buy the new books on there as well. So those are sort of things from the tax point of view. Anyone who's moving on to the strategic papers, I tend to get questions about sort of SBR, SBL on there. The first strategic paper you should all be doing is SBR. And then if you are planning on doing advanced audit assurance, do not take SBR and advanced audit assurance at the same time. SBR is the foundation that builds onto advanced audit assurance. You will give yourself ultimate headaches if you try to do those two at the same time. Really from that, it comes down to maybe you're planning on potentially doing two at a time. If anyone's worried about what is known as the 7-year rule, which is you have 7 years to complete all of your strategic exam papers, so that's SBR, SBL, and the 2 option papers. I know 7 years sounds a long time, but maybe if you've had children, move country, move house, it can quite easily catch up on you. So just have a think about that as to, am I potentially going to get caught by that? Next, we come on to work out your schedule up to the next exam day. And this is where, for your notes, what I would be taking down, especially if you're already a LearnSignal student, is you have the fantastic boot camp where LearnSignal put it on, where you'll set tasks day by day to keep you on track to help you pass. If you follow that, definitely it's going to help. I'd also set targets as to when you want to have all of the tuition completed by, and then also when you want to start on revision and when you're going to schedule in mock papers when you have some completely free days. So setting out that schedule, I used to do it all the time. I know it's a bit sad where you go, good grief, James, before you know it's going to be Christmas, but they are really critical to help you pass on there. Next, record when you'll be doing your tuition revision and practice. Again, that'll be within your actual schedule. Set yourself the deadlines, set yourself the targets, because if you haven't got a target, what are you aiming to hit on there? It can quite easily just sort of float down the river, and before you know it, you've given yourself an extra week and all this sort of stuff. And that's why it's so key to actually plan your work, your life, your study balance to keep you motivated, where we can all fall into the trap of just going, oh my gosh, my life just feels like, and mine was like this when I did 2 exams at a time. That's why I tell every student now, don't do 2 exams at a time, just do 1, make your life, have a life a bit. And it really sort of motivates you. Like I was saying at the start of the webinar, going for a run this morning then motivates me to get on with the other bits of work where I have the right balance. That I'm getting my fitness in, my studying in, my work and other bits of business or whatever, helping other students. All these sort of things hit me for time. And then that is where I was thinking about it actually on my run. Actually, I need to have more strict cutoff points where, look, 9 o'clock at night, you can't be doing any more work, you can't do any more recording, replying to DMs, all these sort of things. It could just take over your life, and then you can have a bad night's sleep. All these things wrap into helping you as a person and to study effectively and to still keep a life, because I know we've got people who've got families, partners here, you may be traveling as well. These are all critical things. And the final thing that some students really, it's that sort of, whenever I teach people just one-to-one or we have sessions with LearnSignal, and I say, have you booked your exam fee yet and paid for it? And they go, no, but I'm going through tuition anyway, so I'll do it. And you go, Until you physically make that payment, and it's a lot, don't get me wrong, okay, you're financially holding yourself accountable to it on there. So until you actually pay the over 100 or 200 pounds for it, that is where you're then putting yourself out there that I am committed. It's like when I sign up for a marathon or something like that. I'm committed. I've got to go do the training, and if I don't put in the time, the hours, the effort, I'm the one to blame on that. I take responsibility. Also, ACCA have the early bird dates and they have the late dates. If you miss that early bird date or the normal one, whatever it's called now, the late fees are massive on there. So do not fall foul to that. Just get it booked, get it sorted, and then get your head down to start revising on there. Again, if any of those sort of questions on there help prompt you for anything like that, be sure to pop it in the Q&A, as we'll just be talking through now some sort of simple and effective tips that LearnSignal students particularly use and the tutors actually advocate for, which I completely agree with. I'm involved with the team quite a lot now, which is fantastic. So these are the things as to, we've already talked about planning the study, practical ways for this. It's always people say, plan your study, do your study this way, okay? It's got to work for you, okay? So how did it work for me when I was an ACCA student? Well, I kid you not, I bought this massive wall planner. You get these when you go to university and stuff like that. I used to literally write on there if I had a SBR lecture that I needed to go do on a Thursday night, or if I had to do an audit and assurance revision question for my homework on a Wednesday or something like that. That was one way of me doing it. The sort of more modern way that I do now is everything has to go in my calendar. If it's going to happen, it's got to go in the calendar. Otherwise, it doesn't get done on there. So either going via your calendar so that you are accountable to yourself and you can visually see it on there, or get yourself a wall planner, definitely helps for me. Obviously, goes without saying, the next one, study regularly. It says 90 to 60 minutes a day for 5 days is much better than one long day. Completely agree. It's all about how much you are absorbing. But this is where, if you're working full time like I had to do, or with maybe you've got kids or other family commitments, whatever it may be, don't underestimate a sort of 15-20 minute window just to get a small little question done, or a tiny bit of reading, or a bit of notes, because those 15 and 20 minutes, they compound and they accumulate, and that is where it's going to pay dividends for you in the long run. So don't underestimate it. It doesn't have to be 2-3 hours and you're thinking, oh, I haven't got time, I've only got an hour. That is more than enough to get some practice questions in, to build up your knowledge. And then the more questions you do, the more mistakes you'll make, and the greater the learning curve on there. And we have mock papers up at the side there. Don't let the finish time you attempt the exam to be the day of your exam on there. Don't let the first time you attempt the exam to be the, oh, I see what you're coming from there. It does stagger me. I mean, when I was a student, I used to print out all of the past papers and try to go through as many as possible to time under exam conditions. But there are still some ACCA students who rock up to the exam, and they've gone through the core text, they've done some question practice, but they've never done a mock test to time. And if it was me, I always tell my students 2 weeks before the examination, you should have done at least one mock test to see where you are at. Do you need to be doing more questions? Do you need to be actually going through some areas of the tuition, going back to it if you didn't understand it properly? Pop it in your notes. 2 weeks before your exam, must have attempted at least one mock exam, and that's built into the LearnSignal bootcamp that, if you are a registered student, you should be definitely attending. Next, listen to your examiner. Vital information and guaranteed marks available if you take the advice on offer. So this comes in for your notes. We've got the external examiner's report, number 1. You then have the technical articles, number 2. And then you have your sort of feedback from your tutors, like at LearnSignal, who interact with the examiners, and they will feed back to you areas that you should be particularly focusing on or are more highly examinable. And finally on there, use an approved learning provider. I'm quite open on this, that I've had some exams where I've not used a learning provider at all. I've just had the books, and then I've sort of badgered away in the library and tried to get as much done as possible. But when you actually have a learning provider like LearnSignal, who you have the boot camp, which holds you accountable and sets you tasks, you have the webinars that you can drop into. I run them on a Friday at 12:30. You can come and speak to me and tell me anything that's going on, and I can give you advice straight away. It really truly helps from an accountability point of view, and it makes you feel like you're not just in it by yourself on there. So definitely check those out. If you've not been to one of our Friday sessions, they're just the sort of bi-weekly check-ins where you can ask me any questions about any exam. Now we've got to come on to the examiner's reports. So this is where, and again, feel free to write in the chat to one another. I won't be able to see the chat box at the moment, but maybe put in there if you've ever read an examiner's report. Just put yes or just put no. And it's just so that you can see from other students who are joining us today how many other students actually use the examiner's reports. And don't feel worried that if you haven't, because I think most students probably haven't. They might have watched an overview video. I've done a few of them that highlights the key points, but actually going through and reading them yourself, not many, I would say. Why is it important to think like the examiner? Vital insights, learning from the reports, how best to use the reports to ensure you pass. The best things from my experience of reading the examiner's reports are really that it tells you where students have made mistakes in the past. And the general sort of consensus is always not reading the requirement properly, writing answers that don't have anything to do with the requirement. If you have multiple choice questions, rushing through them too quickly on there, not understanding the syllabus content. You have in, say, financial reporting, not laying out the correct pro formas. This is where it showcases to you students that have failed in the past and then how you shouldn't make those mistakes again, I would say, is the best way to put it. So if you're taking notes today, just go onto ACCA's website, and the LearnSignal team will have breakdowns of them as well on their platform, and just pop on there, have a 5, 10, 15-minute read through. Don't spend hours on it, but just try and pick out the key points that are going to help you to pass on there. It will go. There we go. I was thinking, why isn't it going? Right, so we've got the golden rule to passing on here. And these sort of arrows that you can see on the screen are you progressing through your ACCA studies, and then the end of the arrows all the way on the right-hand side are when you actually sit it. So starting all the way on the left-hand side now with the technical understanding, and this is covered in the lectures and the notes that you can access on the LearnSignal platform. This for me is like, you get your result on Monday, and then you say, right, I'm going to treat myself, James, and I'm going to do the PM exam. Cool stuff. You're registered on there. You can access the notes. Lecture 1, variances, something like that. And that is you moving through that arrow left to right, going through all of the key topics. Then obviously, as you're progressing through, you're going to come across more and more questions. And they've got the application to the scenarios here, especially for your notes on here. If you have an exam coming up where there are some elements that are marked by a computer, the multiple choice ones, usually section B in all the applied skills papers, it's a case of those ones there are, if it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So you've got to be careful about your units, commas, what they want you to lay out the answer. But what it's saying there for application to the scenarios and practicing those past papers is, and bridging that gap, is all about those parts, section C's, or the elements that is marked by a human. That is where it's even more valuable that you work through and apply to scenarios and do more question practice for it, and refer to the mark schemes on there. We have masterclass sessions, how to bridge that gap on the LearnSignal platform. If you want access to some of those masterclass sessions, or if you'd like to maybe even request one, I've done some in the past with LearnSignal. They'll have them on record, and it's to be confirmed, but I think we should be doing some other ones in 2023. But if you'd like me to do some for your exam, get in touch with the LearnSignal team, and I'm sure we can put some on for it on there. And then finally, the arrow in green, we've got the exam standard practice, planning, layout time, time management. Bootcamp perfects this. It takes you through all the aspects of how to pick up on those marks, such as ethics and the layout of your answer. Maybe it has to be using a specific pro forma, depending on the exam. And then the time management. It still staggers me. I speak with students about this, and they go, "Oh, James, I only did 75 marks. I only finished 80% of the exam." And they're going, "Why did you not complete 100 or at least have a good go at it?" That is where it's going to be absolutely critical, but it only comes with practice, sitting down, doing it to time, and attending the boot camp to hold you accountable on that. I think it's a really, really, really good tool. And this is where we have a little timeline at the bottom that it takes you through the process. So if you're planning this in terms of sort of weeks, this is the sort of percentage time all the way up to the examination. So it could be your sort of first couple of weeks for the technical understanding, couple of weeks whilst you're going through those final chapters that you'd also start to do some revision questions. Then when you're more sort of edging to, hang on, we haven't got many weeks left now, 3-4 weeks left at 60%, then you're going, right, mock papers, I said earlier, 2 weeks is the latest time, and then you've got 80% at the end, simply going through as much of the content as possible. The more questions, the better, and then make some mistakes, so better to do that now when you're actually practicing rather than in the main real thing. And this is where we have the final part before we come on to our Q&A, where we've got plenty of time to go through absolutely everything you would like to ask me. Everything you need to know how to pass. And this is sort of for anyone who's completely new to Learn Signal, or maybe you've used it before as well. You've maybe got the yearly or lifetime membership on there. Make sure you're using all of the resources, even just coming along to some of the webinars. We've got the masterclass sessions, boot camps. You've got the 24/7 tutor support, webinars, podcasts, all the things to keep you on track. So just make a note down for it, just to make the most of all the resources on there. The revision boot camp and mock exams, you can also note those down when they actually start. If you don't know what the date is, again, just email the tutor support and the team will tell you what date it will be for your particular exam when the boot camp will start. There's question banks, tutor walkthroughs. I've done those before as well. And then, of course, we have the syllabus covering everything you need to know, notes, topics, key elements, everything that could possibly come up on your examination on there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to come on to the Q&A section now. You'll see it on the side there. I think we've got about 9 questions already. We've got time to go through them all, so don't worry. I started up at the top, so hello me. I'm coming to you first, all good on there. And the way it works, if anyone hasn't been before, is, sorry, I just needed some tea to give you some hydration on there. I put the question on the screen. So you can see here from Palumi. So Palumi's put, I don't really understand sales tax, supplier account statement, reconciliation, purchase invoice and sales invoice on there. And I will then offer my advice from it. So it sounds like that'll be, that could be anything from like the financial accounting exam. I mean, again, feel free to put as much detail as you want on there. But Palumi, the best thing for you to do for that is have a look back at the online lectures. If you've got any core texts, go through those. And then you should be able to hopefully apply those to like a real world example. The best things that I always had in my mind when I first started accounting was trying to picture if it was my own business. So if your business was maybe selling flowers, you would buy in the flowers, you would create the flowers into a bouquet on there. You would then give that bouquet of flowers to the customer with an invoice to say, these flowers were going to cost you £50 on there. The purchase invoices would be to buy the original flowers that you had to put together to make it into the bouquet. We'd reconcile those double entries, the debits and the credits, along with the bank account areas that hopefully we would receive the £50 for the bouquet. And then we'd also have the expenses coming out on there as well. And then finally, you've got the sales tax supplier account. So each individual supplier should have their own individual name. And sales tax, you've got to be looking at, is the individual a sole trader or a limited company on there? So if they're a sole trader, it's tax like income tax. on there. But if it's a limited company, then the sales tax is through corporation tax, and you'd apply the right rate for the particular year for it. So again, it sounds like it's just having a look back at the core text, Flumi, going through it in a bit more detail, and then really going from there, I would say. Multi, I'm coming to you next. Can you please give tips for Taxation UK, as it is very difficult, as I live in Suriname on there, okay? And UK tax is very difficult with so many rules, very confusing. I agree, Multi. Oh my gosh, it is very tricky. Best thing you can do is if you just put it on Google or have a look on Learn Signals resources and just put ACCA tax syllabus. And what I did was, especially for the advanced taxation paper, it applies to this one as well, split it up and split your notes up into income tax, corporation tax, value added tax on there, capital gains tax, so that whatever question they throw at you, the first question you ask yourself is, right, what area of the syllabus does this fall under? Cool, I know it's corporation tax. Then your brain focuses in on everything that you learned. And then from that is, you need to set up a system, either pen and paper or on Excel tabs, something like that, that if a question came up on inheritance tax and you got it wrong, you could then write down on that particular piece of paper or Excel sheet where you went wrong and reference it in your own words so that you could read it again and you could recall it as well. That will help you out and save you so much time, Multi. And then the night before the exam, you've got all these different pieces of paper or Excel spreadsheets. This is what I used to do, and it saves you so much time on that, along with the usual question practice, CB question practice to save you time, and look through some of the answers, but then also don't overlook the mark scheme as well. That will take you through it on there. The follow-up to Multi's question is, do you recommend to take Tax UK in December? You've got two options, Multi. You either take it in December or you take it in June next year. Again, I don't know your sort of situation, how much available time you've got. Is it doable to learn the tax syllabus and to pass it in 8 weeks from the results day? Of course you can on there. It depends on what other sort of commitments you have on there. But yes, I would recommend that you can take it in December, because obviously if you were to fail it, you've got the option of doing it in March. So you've got the same syllabus, same rates on there as well, as we talked about. Cool, keep your questions coming, guys. I'm going to make sure we get through them all on there, which is really cool. Sonia, you're next on my list. Hey, I'm going to do financial reporting. Do you advise on doing it in December, and how well do you think I should prepare for it? Well, yes, definitely do it in December. It's one of the fundamentals that you should be doing before you do, say, the tax paper, because you need to know about income statements, balance sheets, all the rest of it. How well should you prepare for it? As best as you can, because the financial reporting knowledge then links onto SBR, then links onto advanced audit assurance if you go and pick it. Students who only just get through financial reporting really tend to struggle. So put in a heck of a lot of effort, especially with the standards. They are really, really, really tricky. Okay, Kritika has got a good question as to when to actually review the examiner's reports. Now, honestly, if it was me, because you've got to sort of really focus in, I would tend to do it when you've got most amount of energy. It's not one of those sort of things that you can just sort of float along and then just go, I'll kind of read it now, and then I'll sort of take in a bit of knowledge on there. But in terms of timing, I would, when you get your results on Monday, I would prioritize it as to, not on that Monday, but maybe on the Tuesday or the Wednesday or in that week, just to go through the examiner's report on the exam that you're planning on sitting. It will save you so much time. I know it's a hassle around work, and you think to yourself, oh, it's not a past paper question, so is it going to matter? It tells you where students go wrong and where they make mistakes and what not to do for next time. So yeah, next week after the actual exam results released, I would say on there. Kritika, good question. GS, what is the best way to use the technical articles in the ACCA page? Very good question on there. I used to only use them on topic areas that I really, really struggled on. So I'd go through like the Learn Signal lectures, for example, just keep going through them as best I can, trying to absorb as much information, take notes. And then when I was doing past paper questions and mock paper questions, if I got 2 or 3, let's take tax, for example, inheritance tax questions wrong, I would go to myself, I've got a gap in knowledge here somewhere, I'm just not quite getting it. I think it's now time to have a look at that technical article for inheritance tax and hear it from a different perspective on there. So the best way to use them is during revision, and because you'll be so time pressured, only on topic areas which you're really, really struggling on. And they're the ones that are usually highly examined as well. Nice, really good questions, guys. Keep them coming on there. Eliza, I started financial reporting and audit assurance now, having face-to-face lectures and doing the exam in March 2024. I'm not sure that I will manage, being the pass rates are very low. Well, there's still obviously a chance on there, Eliza. You've just got to believe that you can do it. Financial reporting F7 is a lot easier than audit assurance FA. If you don't work in audit, then really, really, really focus in on that syllabus area so that you truly understand what's going on. Like, how does an audit report work? What are all the elements in an audit report? What are the substantive procedures, internal controls? All these sort of things are so, so important. Financial reporting, income statement, statement of financial position, cash flow, statement of equity, learn the standards, multiple choice at the start. It's a lot more favourable. Students like it more. So you've got to believe you can do it, Eliza. If you don't believe you can do it, it's probably not going to happen on there. Cool. Hang on, I'm just coming back to... I'm just going to come on to this one on here. Mary's, but I can't hear anything. I'm assuming everyone can hear me okay on there, because I'm still getting more and more questions coming through. If you can't hear me, just pop in the chat. If you can, just let me know. But Mary, if you can't hear me, you might have to log in and then log out on there. So yes, that's what I would say. If you're having any technical issues, I'll just double check the chat on there. Cool. It looks like everyone can hear me okay. It might just be yours, Mary, on there. Sorry about that. You can watch the recording back, where you can definitely, depends if you like my voice or not, I guess. Yeah. Thank you to Lialo as well. Thank you very much for confirming you can hear me. That's all right. Yeah, I was thinking maybe it's just Mary's one on there. Hopefully you can make it back in. So Critique has put, I'm planning to sit SPR in December, and it's my first ACCA exam as I got exemptions for the others. How do you suggest I go cover my assumed knowledge from financial reporting, and do I need to read all the articles of SPR on the ACCA website? If it's your first exam, Critica, do not underestimate it. They are super, super, super difficult at the strategic level. I'd be going back and reading some of the financial reporting technical articles, just getting stuck in to as many things as possible from that syllabus. Past papers are going to be really important. They've just changed the way they lay out question 1 in the SPR exam. So all of these things you need to bear in mind, and do not underestimate it would be my best bit of advice on there. Speak to other SPR students, post in the chat if you are an SPR student, and give Critica some advice on there. Theodora's put, when I pay for the annual subscription, when I be given practical and revision kits and workbook too? Oh, is this for Learn Signal on there? So if you post it, so the materials, Theodora, are all digital online for you on there. The Learn Signal team are in the background as well. If they have any physical hard copy, I think that's what you're referring to, revision kits and workbooks available for you. Practical and revision kits, yeah. So all of the revision kits and workbooks are all based on the ACCA's CBE platform and on past papers, Theodora. So it's to replicate the CBE exam situation as much as possible on there. So they're more than sufficient to help you pass. We've got lots of students who have passed using all of the resources on there. You can have a little look online for a particular exam that you're interested in. And then, of course, we've got the Learn Signal team here. You can drop them an email as well. Kratika's put study from the ACCA Study Hub, the ACCA textbook app, or my institution's notes. All of the above on there. Use as many resources as you can. The one that I would say you've got to be really careful with, especially because I post content out online on YouTube, is there are lots of sort of people who post advice online about passing ACCA, and even though they are not ACCA qualified people, so just be careful who you listen to on there from it. So the study textbooks, the study hub, Learn Signal materials, all of those things will definitely help you to pass, Kritika. Jean, super stuff. I'm doing ACCA apprenticeship, currently doing the LW exam soon. Check out the video on there, Jean. I've done a how to pass, help you out. I've got somebody passed with about 88% the other day. I went, gosh, that's very high. Starting taxation on the 23rd of October. Will it be possible to sit that exam in December? As the lessons are intensive over 4 days, but I'm worried about it. My question to you, Jean, would be, if you're just doing the law paper, my advice is always to then go on to the financial reporting paper. I don't think you've got enough. It depends. If you're a full-time student, then you've got time. But if you're working, you've got lots of other commitments, that'll be very, very tough. But my question to you, Jean, would be, why are you not doing the financial reporting paper after law? Again, I've done a couple of videos as my perfect way to do all 13 exams, and going from law paper to tax exam in 6 weeks is very, very, very tough on there. So check out a couple of the resources, videos online on there on YouTube. Check them out, Jean, and then I think that'll give you perspective as to that ain't a lot of time, I'm afraid. You're only going to get an honest answer out of me. Nana's put, can I do PM and audit insurance together in December? Many thanks. Of course you can, Nana. It's completely up to you. But the syllabuses of those two areas, especially if you don't work in audit, are massive. Section C and PM, they can test you on about 12 to 13 different topics. If it was me, I would say, hey, I just want a nice Christmas, and I'll just do one of them on there, Nana, to be honest with you. So if it was me, just do one and just give yourself a bit of an easier time. Do not underestimate those two, because the pass rates sometimes even float with below 40%. Those two are the most trickiest at the sort of F1 to F9 paper levels. So you're doing the two trickiest together. I'll just do one. Theodora, how long does this 50% off annual subscription available? Is it only for today? As far as I'm aware, Theodora, it is only for today. You'll see in the main chat, the Learn Signal team are here as well. And then I believe it's when you are to pay, then it'll be for that point and then for a year on. So if you've got any specific questions about the annual subscription, guys, and the offer available, just drop it in the main chat, and one of the Learn Signal team will deal with that for you. Danny, lovely, thanks for joining us today. Is there much difference between the manual for 2021 and the 2023 for management accounting? To be honest with you, Danny, not really much. It's the section B in management accounting which completely does people on that exam. Now, the reason why I know this, and this is because it's for everyone's entertainment here, I get loads of students saying to me, oh, James, I can't be bothered with CBE. I can't be bothered to do any on there. And I was like, right, I just can't have this anymore. So you go onto YouTube, Danny, there are section B specific questions, and I've done a full CBE management accounting review where I walk and talk you through all the different questions. Check those out. It will save you weeks of time on there. And then come and message me, come to a Learn Signal webinar in 3 weeks, well, 3 months time before Christmas, 2 to 3 months, New Year maybe, and you'll go, oh my word, gosh, aren't you an angel for doing that on a Friday morning? Oh my gosh, I can still remember that day. But there's a lot of value in those where, but coming back to your question, there's not really much difference on it. There's a slight update, but nothing you can't handle. Cool stuff. Next one, our Jen. What can I do? What can I do to pass the exams in the first attempt because I don't pass in the first attempt? The bottom line is making sure you're on top of everything from the syllabus to doing revision questions to time, mock papers enough time before your actual exam itself. All these sort of things roll into it. It is so tough. You just get found out so easily. Where if you don't think you're giving your all, probably not good enough on there. I mean, yes, you just got to keep at it. If you want some tips how to pass, Awena, come to one of our Learn Signal webinars on a Friday, or check out some of the other videos I've done online. Be all right. Yeah, there's no like shortcut. It's really hard. I've just got to be honest on it. Cool. Obja, realistically, for someone who barely took accounting seriously at uni and has the privilege of being awarded 8 exemptions, I won't ask which university you went to. Good grief. Would you say the person still has a chance of passing FM F9 in March if he started studying in October? 100% Obja, yeah. But again, you've got a massive learning curve there that you need to get well on top of the CBE platform, the technical aspects of financial management. You've got to know, like, if they give you a investment appraisal question, NPV, bang, you can just say, right, I know how to lay it out. I know where the initial outlay is going. I know the positive cash flows. I know the discount rate, all these other things. You have got to be on it on that, okay? Anything less, it's your funeral. It's a really tough exam on that. And the jump is big. So yes, get stuck into it. I've done some videos on it. Check them out. They're all free. And also I've done some with Learn Signal directly where we've reviewed Section C questions. So drop the Learn Signal team, say, can I have access to James's masterclass session for FM? I've also done them for financial reporting, audit assurance, all the rest of it. And also, I think we're going to be doing more. So if you want some more, tell the Learn Signal team and we'll get some booked in. And you can come along. It'll be good fun. Next, N, I'm coming to you. Is there enough time to cover taxation syllabus and question practice from now to December still whilst working full time? I would say so, yes, on there. And it's everything has a price to pay. You're going to have to make sacrifices. It's a really tough syllabus, especially if you don't work in tax. But yes, coming on to your question, it is doable. Again, check out some of the examiners' reports. There are lots of videos out there. The Learn Signal team, I've done some best practice videos for that they have on file. Drop them an email and make the most of it as well. Cool. Amika has put, can more emphasis be given to the ACCA Study Hub? The more you use it, the better. Technical articles, examiner reports, CB question practice. The more you use it, the better. And in tandem with the Learn Signal materials, rock and roll, you're onto a winner on there. It's the time. You've just got to put in the time. That's it. But it will pay dividends in the future for you. So yes, the more you use it, the better off you're going to be. Oh gosh, we had a question there, but it seems to have disappeared. So I'm going to come on to the next question. If I've just deleted your question and I don't read it out, can you just copy and paste it again? I don't know where it just sort of flicked. N has put, when booking exams / content with ACCA approved course providers, should we wait for our results first or book the next exam right after sitting? At the stage you're at now, if you're waiting on a result on Monday, wait for the result on there first of all, and then go from there accordingly. So yes, wait for the results on Monday and then book. The early bird will finish, I think it's usually a week or so afterwards. So yeah, wait for the result, I would say. Maltese put, will there be a recording of the webinar and will it include recording of the answers given on the questions? Because you gave good advice in the answer of my question and I want to listen to it again because now I have to work. That's all right, Multi. I'm glad the advice helped. Yes, this is being recorded and you will be sent out a copy of it as well. So yes, glad it helped. I hope work goes well as well. I've got to go back to work after this as well. So yes. Palumi, can I get a job after passing the financial accounting first exam? Of course you can. Yeah, get it updated on LinkedIn, put your CV out there, show that you're keen, all the rest of it. You're more than capable on there. depends on the employer and matching their expectations with what you can bring to the role, and hopefully it aligns for you. GS, do you have a, oh, hang on. There it is. GS, do you have a YouTube channel? Please, can you share the name? Thanks. Yeah, of course. If you just put James Wright in on YouTube, or just put James Wright ACCA, you'll have access to all my free ACCA recordings. And I've also done collaborations with LearnSignal on there. We'll be doing more in the future. So make sure you check those out, and LearnSignal's YouTube channel. I interview students about what worked well for their exams. And then obviously collaborations with LearnSignal, other webinars. So yeah, check it out. It's up to you. They're on there. Which paper do you recommend after SBL? Amika's put. Some students leave SBL till last, but if it was me, I would do SBL, and then move on to your 2 strategic papers on there. Again, depending on which ones you want to do. So whichever strategic papers you want to do those after, I would say. Cool. Shani has put, which applied skills paper should you do after tax for December? You should do financial reporting. If I was you, I would do financial reporting before you do taxation, because it builds on things in financial reporting that are used in the tax exam. So you're going to be at a real disadvantage if you're doing the tax exam and you haven't done the financial reporting. It might be a bit tricky. The only way to get around that, obviously, is if you work in tax and you already know your stuff. I just don't know that. So yes, if you can do financial reporting first, please do. Cool. Right. Lovincia, is there a chance for me to pass audit insurance if I started studying today and then to sit it in December? Of course there is. Again, it comes down to your available time. Do you work in audit? If you don't work in audit, really, really, really read that syllabus and understand it head to toe in as much detail as you possibly can. And again, use the free ACCA resources online to shape your answer on there. But yes, coming on to your answer, definitely doable for you. Next one, Edmund has put, F1 is my biggest challenge. I'm done with management accounting and financial accounting. How can I pass the F1 paper? Also, I need to get a copy of this webinar discussion, please. Cool. So we'll send out a copy of the webinar afterwards. The LearnSignal team will kindly follow up. You get a link for it. F1, honestly, I've done a few videos on this. You've really just got to read the question through. And there are some concepts, I'm happy to say live on camera, that even I just go, what even is that? Just there go, some management of some theory from 1959 that I've read in one textbook when I was at university in year 1. You have to think it through logically on there, Edmund. Have a look at the full video. Loads of students have passed using it, and then that builds into the other collaborations and advice that I use with LearnSignal as well. So check it out, just YouTube it, ACCA F1, it'll come up, easy peasy. And also make sure you do the section B questions, because that's another area which students fail on. Cool, Kritika, how can I find more students who are studying SBR? There's the ACCA study community, or you can post in the normal chat here. They're your best options, Kritika. Works for any exam on there. Some Facebook groups as well. Just make sure who you're getting in contact with is credible and they're not trying to do you out of any money. Shanice puts, if you were exempt from financial reporting and did tax, which applies skills paper to do in December? I would do, if you're planning on doing, say, like advanced performance management or advanced financial management, I would try and keep that applied skill paper last. So then I would tactically do PM, so that it means that my knowledge would be fresh on there. So tactically pick the one that you're not going to do at the option level, so that you leave the applied skill paper that you're going to do at the option level, and then do that one last on there. I hope that made sense, Shani, as well. Jean Joseph, I asked the question if it was possible to do tax in December after starting on the 20th of October. I have an exemption. Oh, you have an exemption for financial reporting, which is why I'm doing it after law. Okay, then it is doable, Jean, but you're going to have to put in an absolute shift. That is not a lot of time, honestly. Really, you've got to hit the ground running. But I'm glad you've got the financial reporting knowledge in there as well. Honey has put, I am a pre-final year student. After how many ACCA papers would you advise to apply for a job? Straight away. Straight away, because then you're getting that PER, your actual experience, and you're accumulating the hours. You could also get on a study contract, honey, which means that an employer would pay for your studies as well. If you want to know about, like, I never paid a penny for any of my studies, an employer paid for it. So if you want to learn about that, just put in on YouTube, ACCA study contract, bing, and it will come up my videos and it will explain everything you need to know. Everyone should be on a study contract in my eyes. Obviously, different things change in different ways. Hi, James. Would you recommend doing SPR before SBL? From John. Yep, 100%, John. Yeah, 100%. Definitely on that. SBR builds on financial reporting. So I would definitely recommend doing it on that. Your financial reporting knowledge should be more fresh on there. Right, ladies and gentlemen, that kindly gets me through all of the Q&A on there. We have answered 32 questions. Not bad going. Very good. Gosh, I've earned my cup of tea today. I just want to make sure we've got everything in the actual recording down there. Thank you very much, everyone who has joined us today. We are now slightly running out of time. I just want to say again a massive thank you to all of the Learn Signal team for your support putting on these sessions. It's great that we've had over 100 people here. We'll also be putting in the chat that code again. You can watch the recording back. Make the most of it. It'd be great to see you on future recordings on there. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can put in the chat as well. You can find myself on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, anything like that. Take a screenshot, post it on there, what you thought of the session today. We can connect professionally as well. And then I'll look forward to hopefully seeing you one of our fortnightly ACCA sort of check-ins. I might see you on the boot camps, anything like that to help you out. But I hope you've enjoyed today. Let your friends and ACCA study buddies know to come along for the next one. And I will see you soon. So thank you very much. Have a lovely day at work. If you're going back like I am now, I might need to get some food and me, some lunch as well. And I will see you again soon. Best of luck for the results on Monday. I know it's going to be really tough. So yes, all good. You'll be fine. Thank you very much, Saposi, Azim. Thank you so much. Nand as well, Kritika. Great questions, everyone, today.